Hellos and welcomes everyone, this is AnthWolf, and I thought I would do a very short video on ArcheAge itself after doing my Let's Talk for June, and I was using some of the ArcheAge gameplay as my background video basically while I was talking over it. I thought I'd really like to do maybe one long video or a couple of short videos just talking about the game itself, and so yeah, I thought where best to start but from the beginning. The game itself was and is being developed by a company called XL Games, and they are over in Korea, and at the moment they are doing quite well. It seems to be quite a popular game over there, and as such Trion Worlds, who is a publisher who publish both Rift and Defiant, and I think they have their own version of Minecraft, which is interesting, fair enough. They have taken it upon themselves to basically get the publishing rights to bring it over to America and Europe, as well as the likes of Australia and places like that. But yeah, basically they are going to have running servers in North America and in Amsterdam for the Europeans like myself. So yeah, this first video is basically going to be me talking about the game and showing you the character creation and possibly the skill sets as well. And then after that, I may either continue with this video or I may do another video introducing basically the starting area for one of the races and show you a bit of gameplay. One of my friends would like me to show you a lot of the game world, the expansive world, but none of my characters currently have a glider or a fast boat or fast ship, I suppose you can say. So it makes it a bit difficult for myself, but there is quite a few videos on YouTube and even more growing videos on YouTube of other people's gameplay, and I'm sure that you can find someone who will have done videos alike to that. So let's begin. At the moment there's only one server called Alpha, because this game is in Alpha currently, and it will probably be for another 3 to 4 weeks. It just recently got put back. The beta was meant to come in the back end of this month, back end of June, and they've had to delay it because they are going to be putting ahead a new patch version 1.2 I believe it is, and there is more translation to be done, I believe. There's a lot of conspiracy theories about why Trion Worlds has put it back, and I'm not going to get into that. It's still an alpha, beta is coming, and they're still looking at getting the full release of the game in 2014, probably in winter, November, December time, and that's fine for me. Well, for me personally, because I am in the alpha. People who have bought a founders pack or have signed up for the hopeful lottery draw to get into the beta obviously are waiting with anticipation, and I feel for them. I was like that myself, and I upgraded my founders pack to get into the game to experience it for myself. But yeah, there's a lot of things on the forums. I'm not going to really go into it. I can see the people who are for and against it, and I understand exactly where they're coming from, but we can only be patient and hopefully they get it right. That's all I've hoped for. They get it right, and if they need more time to tweak it and more time to translate it, then I don't mind that at all. I'd rather get a complete game with the least amount of bugs as possible and an active team dealing with ongoing issues than the game coming out far too early. But that's being said, there you go, I've said it now. Again, roast me if you want in the comments, but that's my personal opinion, and you're very welcome to have your own, and a lot of people have. So, anyway, this is character creation discussion, not ArcheAge conspiracy theories. So, let me show you. I do have all 4 characters in alpha, and you can only have, obviously, here at the bottom, 4 characters per server and 6 characters across all servers. So I don't mind deleting one of my characters. None of them are extremely high level. In fact, yeah, my highest level is about level 13, which is embarrassing, but I've been playing it for about a week on and off. Because it's alpha, I haven't really tried to put too much time into it, just taking my time and enjoying myself exploring. Very relaxed gameplay. So let us connect. And here is my main character, normally called AnthWolf. I also use Alberio, very similar appearance as you can see. So, Enderin. Yeah, let's delete Enderin, I don't mind. Gotta put his name in. Enderin, there you go. Goodbye. So, this is the world, I suppose, the world map. A very basic view of it. And we have Nuian, Hirania, and Auroria. And there is an island around here for a pirate nation, but I will talk about them in a moment. So, let's just begin creating a character. So, here we are. At the moment there is only 4 races you can choose from. The Nuians, Elves, Firians and Hirani. I believe those are pronounced right there, but everyone will have their own interpretation, of course. And each race has their own, like, racial buffs, racial bonuses. But unlike some games, these aren't a massive issue. These aren't game-breaking in any way. They're just nice to have, really. So there's no best race to choose from. And as you saw from the world map, which I'll go into actually quickly now, on each continent here, there are 2 factions. You have the Nuians and the Elves on Nuria here, and then the Hirani and the Firians on Hirania. And there is a purpose for this. So, before we go ahead, I might as well talk about these different races and then go into the reasoning for the continental differences, basically, the different continents. So, the Nuians, we fear no death. Called the conquerors of the continent, Nuians possess a deeply spiritual culture that revolves around worshipping Nui, the goddess of the hereafter. They revere the traditions, beauty and harmony of their fallen kingdom, and fight fearlessly to bring these traits to their new land. And their buffs are Nui's Blessing. Favoured by the goddess of the hereafter, Nuians receive extra benefits from visiting her realm, doubling the time their stats are increased after being resurrected. And Warrior Architects. Frequent rebellions and civil wars have led to the Nuians to become quick builders, reducing construction time for houses and castles by 30%. Now, I don't think construction time is a massive thing. There basically is a cast bar while you're constructing, and it isn't all that slow to begin with. It may feel it, but this is not a major thing. And the original Nui's Blessing, the original buff, basically when they die, or at least I believe when they die, they get a small, like a minor buff to some of their stats. But it's not a massive thing and it doesn't last all that long. At least I believe not. So yeah, it's not a major thing. And obviously this is the male Nuian and there's the female default Nuian. And I can go about the character models in a moment. So then the elves, stereotypical elves. The blood of life is honour, and the blood of death the same. Elves seclude themselves deep in the forest, avoiding other races as much as possible. Though envied for their beauty, their behaviour is considered incomprehensible. Hoping for an honourable death, they often deliberately seek out danger. They feel the ultimate honour is vengeance for their past defeats. Now, it is mentioned obviously the elves seclude themselves deep in the forest, but strangely enough, their buffs are water-based, which is unusual, but I'll go with the direction they've went in, and their buffs are endurance training. Trained for combat from the day they walk, elves possess increased physical ability. This stamina allows them to hold their breath underwater for an extra 20 seconds, which is actually quite a long time. I quite like that little buff there. And if I liked elves in general, I probably would have rolled an elf. I may still do in the future. And the second buff is Liflo, and I probably pronounced that first word wrong there. The decades spent around that place make most elves talented swimmers, increasing their swimming speed by 5%. So both of those buffs actually work well together. So yeah, if you enjoy swimming, there is underwater forms you can have in the game and you may want to hold your breath for a bit longer, then maybe that's the race for you, basically. And again, the female elf, basic design. And then we have the Therians from the continent of Hirania. Claw to earth, blood to water, fang to wind, fur to fire. The restless nomadic Therian roam the wilds, fueled by dreams of protecting nature and reclaiming their former glory. They believe every life, no matter how small, is not only valuable, but plays a critical role in the natural world, and that every Therian must strive to find their purpose and play their part. So very nomadic, very family orientated, I suppose you can say. And their buffs are as follows: cat-like reflexes. The Therians' quick reflexes allow them to twist their bodies as they fall and land more nimbly, decreasing fall damage by 20%. Which is quite nice. There is quite a lot of falls in this game, especially when you get the glider. You can be shot out of the air. So if you're quite high up, that might be a factor to play into. And then strong claws. The Therians' long non-retractable claws allow them to climb trees and ladders 30% faster. Now, you can climb some trees in the game, and obviously there is ladders, especially maybe in the siege battles, that you can get into later on in the end game. But again, these aren't major buffs, as you can see. And here is the male Therian, and obviously non-retractable claws. And female, with huge anime style eyes. And then Hirani. We may bend, but we do not break. Hirani are survivors in the truest sense of the word. Others may do anything to succeed and meet their gods in the process, but Hirani will do anything to live. Practical, cunning, and family-minded, it is no surprise that the strength of their new kingdom rivals the strength of the kingdom they lost. So again, like the Therians, very family conscious, which I kinda like. As you can probably tell, the Nuians and the Elves have a more probably Western approach, whereas the Therian and the Hirani, that was kind of a combination of their races, are more Eastern in their basic appearances, and I'll show you the presets. And their buffs are as follows: Portal Mastery. The far-flung Hirani Empire has forced its people to master the use of portals for quick travel, reducing the cast time and cooldown of their recall ability by 30%. Now I'll tell you about recall either in this video or in the following video, but yeah, it is an ability which allows you to jump from town to town, I believe. Basically to get to places more quickly than having to run there or use a various type of mount. And Jungle Tamers. Settling the jungles of Maradevi taught the Hirani to be efficient in their labour, reducing the time required for logging trees and gathering herbs by 10%. So if you like gathering a lot and think that's going to be a major aspect of what you're going to be doing in the game, then maybe that's the thing for you. And again, obviously the male Hirani, and we saw briefly, but the female Hirani. There we are. So, what shall we do? Excuse me, I will take a sip of tea before we begin. And turns out it was coffee. I forgot what I made. Excellent. So, we will play a male Nuian. Actually, before we begin, I should talk about the different continents now. I mentioned obviously previously that the Nuians and the Elves were on Nuria, and the Therians and the Hirani are on Hirania here. And these are always in conflict. There is like a 1 to 30 area in this game on each continent which is basically protected and basically non-PvP, unless you want to go for that thing. I think there's an ability called Bloodlust which allows you to go into a PvP as like game mode, I suppose it is, and therefore able to attack your own faction. But other than that, the Nuians and Elves can't really attack each other, and unless they go into what is known after level 30 as a territory that's in war. And I may discuss that further in another video. But if they say a Nuian went across to Hirania, if they encountered a Firian or a Hirani race, basically they could go into PvP straight away if they so wished, or vice versa. They are hostile to one another. So if, say, myself was playing a Nuian and one of my friends played a Firian, we would never really be able to party up or be friends to one another at all in this game. Like, we could tell each other that we wouldn't fight, but all in all, this is a very PvP oriented game. And then you've got the continent of Aurora, which is kind of like the end game island. It is basically a free-for-all PvP zone, but you can make houses, make farms in this game, and Aurora has the highest % chance of getting the rarer materials needed for some of the end game gear and the end game equipment, like different gliders and different ships. And then, as I mentioned, I don't think this is it here, but I do know there is a pirate island. Basically, there is a trial system in this game, and if you've been bad to your own faction by killing them or stealing their raw materials, basically you can be tried, and if you get enough infamy, if you get enough bad trials, I suppose, and get found guilty enough, you will be outcast and become a pirate. And then basically you are against all of the other races. You are a nation unto yourself with the other pirates, and then basically I think that's a pretty bad thing. I think you do get bonuses then to being on the sea or stealing crops from either nation. But all in all, basically you have everyone against you. So unless you've got maybe a faction, a guild behind you, or maybe an alternate character, which is high end, it's not a great thing for you to be a pirate, especially for your first character. That's my opinion again, of course. So let's begin creating a character. Now, as I said, I will play a male Nuian. And here is the character creation screen. It's only taken us 17 minutes to get there. Holy hell. There is presets that you can play with. And I'll just briefly go through them. Obviously this is the one I normally go with, as you can probably tell. But we'll stick with the basic one at the moment. And then I normally click keep appearance. So then it keeps the main like the hairstyle, but I can choose the head changes, obviously the mouth shape changes there if you want. But we'll start from the base up, which is obviously all on this side. So we can choose our hairstyles, and there is obviously 3 pages of these. What's that? 15? No, more than 15. 21. 21 different hairstyles. Oh well, I can't count. There you go. So, for randomness, we'll choose this hairstyle, because why the hell not? Now, the difficulty is choosing the hair colour. Say I want to go ice blue, I'd basically have to reselect that particular hairstyle that I chose. There may be an easier way to do this. They may change that in the later versions of the game. Obviously there is 7 pages of different hair colours. Oh dear. There you go. But obviously I'll just briefly go through these and show you what they look like. And see how the light catches it. So we'll pick a few. I might go for that one actually. Oh, and you can go lavender if you really want. Look a bit like Tipo from Breath of Fire 3. Ooh. Very lime green. Holy hell. Well, easily spotted. No, we'll go... Was it that one? I think it was. Excellent. Oh, what's that one? Actually, I kind of like that one better. Yeah, we'll keep with that one. Excellent. Then we'll go for eyes. We can choose our eyebrows. Oh, I hate playing with eyebrows. But I'll go through them briefly. We can have none, basically. You can see a bit of a ridge there from the eye, but apart from that, I don't want to play too much time with eyebrows. That's a bit Bit too picky. We'll go with that. We'll go with none. Why not? And then we can choose obviously the colour, which doesn't really help us now. And our eye colour is here. And then you've obviously got the rainbow gradient, and then you can play with the brightness. So, what colour shall we have our eyes? I'll have a grey. I've been playing Dragon Age a bit, and everyone had grey eyes in that game. There you go. Excellent. And then style. We can have different types of makeup, different eyeliners, if we so choose. And then obviously, they also include bruises in the game. Someone who doesn't sleep a lot. That's probably me, actually. We'll keep with that. I don't get a lot of sleep. And obviously you can change the intensity. Yeah, we'll have that. Massive amount of lack of sleep. And then obviously different beards as well. Let's see if we have one which is much like myself right now. We don't have any massive beards at the moment, which is kind of a shame. I'll need to shave mine. That's probably the closest. And we need to try and match the colour, don't we? That's going to be fun. There you go. And we can choose a lip colour. Yeah. How do we... There you go. He looks horrible, but we'll stick with it. Different skins. We have age lines we can introduce. And we can also, again, adjust their intensity. So let's go for someone... There you go, really old. Get a couple of crow's feet there. And then obviously we have skin colours. There's not many skin colours at the moment. I believe they're adding more in the near future. Or they're going to try and add more for like more African American users who may be interested in that. Maybe kind of like a blender like the previous like lip colour and beard colour. I wonder if they could probably just do that with the skin colours, because why not? They've got the potential there already. So we may as well, unless someone goes really mad and decides to have someone who's bright blue. But they may want that. I normally like this skin colour. That's the default one there. I think that's a bit too bright. I normally like it. I think that's a bit more realistic. But that's my personal opinion. So yeah, we'll stick with that. He's starting to come together. Kind of liking how this is going so far. And then we can have paints, different masks. We can have some of them erase the work you've done already, I think. So like that one there. Bit clownish, say the least. Huh. Joker mask, interesting. But no, we can delete the paint work just by clicking this button here. Excellent. And then we can have imperfections, scars and the such. And there's 3 pages of these, just only one on the 3rd page. But for an example, we could have a scar. We can adjust how big it is. We can adjust its angle. Actually, that doesn't look too bad. We'll make it a bit smaller. And then, basically, if we hold onto this here, we can drag it to anywhere we want. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to do this. I'll just turn him so he's facing me a little bit more. There you go. Perfect. We'll make it a little bit bigger. Excellent. Right, so that is like the 5 tabs on this side. Yeah. I'll just quickly show you. I'll make these a bit bigger. I'll make it a bit bigger, and then I can just show you some of the other imperfections, just in case you're interested in seeing them. So as you got the twin slash. Maybe that's like an old burn mark, perhaps. Big open wound that hasn't healed properly. Again, a similar version of that, but it's healed a bit more better, but left you quite marked. Almost a mole, like a love mark, I think they're called as well. I'm not too sure. I could just be making all this stuff up, by the way. Obviously, a heart and a star there. So like a fresh wound. Like a Furian's got a hold of him there. And then you've got obviously the recent injuries that are being still healing and being stapled closed. And someone's like peeled back his face recently, which is horrible. Oh dear, now I've got to readjust this again. There you go, that'll do fine. So, obviously this is the left hand side of our appearance option, but now we can actually go to this side and adjust our eye shape, and there is more details here, but obviously I normally just play with the pre-made looks. Might go with that one actually, but for an example we can adjust the eye size, the width, and it tells you actually just above these bars what they actually affect. Obviously the angle, how close are the lids, vertical position, the distance between the eyes. So yeah, there's a lot of customization here, not as much as some games, but obviously there is a lot you can do with the eyes, nose, mouth, and the head overall. So I'll just confirm that. Again, the nose size we can play with. These are all default pre-made appearances, but you can obviously adjust them yourself to your own personal viewpoint. So you can make someone classically good looking, or you can make him as horrible as you really want to. It's your choice. So let's just go through the default mouths again. We'll go with that one. And finally the shape of the head. With a beard you can't really see the jaw shape and the cheek size so much, but that's fine. There you go, we'll just stick with the default one at the top here. And yeah, basically I will accept him as my character. We can zoom in, zoom out there. And this is some of the higher end armor, but we won't be starting with that. We start with the very basic stuff. And then we will go to skill sets. And I will talk briefly about these, but there is more information that I can give you, and fellow YouTubers have also done similarly. So yeah, you get to choose from 6 skill sets at the beginning. There is 10 overall, but they give you 6 at the beginning because these 6 actually have skills which can actually do damage. Whereas there is a skill called Oromancy, there is Defense, Songcraft, and what is the last one? Trying to think of what it is, and I can't think of it offhand. Oromancy, Defense, Songcraft. And you know what, I've forgotten. Possibly Witchcraft, which could be Occultism, but I'm thinking Witchcraft is the other one. And I may have gotten that wrong, but someone will remind me if I have. But no, these 6 skill sets that you have at the beginning do come with an offensive ability, and therefore these are the ones recommended. But the class system in this game, there's about 120 different classes in this game, and basically you create your class by choosing 3 skill sets. You get to pick a second one at level 5 and the final one at level 10. And basically those 3 skill sets combine to make that specific class. So for an example at the moment, my main character is an archery, shadow play, and oromancy character basically. And those 3 combined create a class called the Primeval class, which is basically a stealthy archer with a bit of I think buffing from Oromancy. Most of my skills go into my archery because that's how I'm playing the game at the moment. But I'm only level 13, and so I don't have a great deal of choice in my skills so far. So no doubt my gameplay, my game style will change as the game progresses. But I'll show you the basic 6, at least at the beginning here. So we have Battle Rage, which is obviously the main melee class. Dealing with most of the physical attacks, starting from one-hand sword and shield to two-handed swords, two-handed axes. I think I did my Let's Talk in June and I was wielding a two-handed hammer. But basically, yes, the devastating attacks of his devotees, which is the god Krios, which is the god of destruction, bombard their enemies mercilessly until finally their foes kneel, bleeding and bow before pure destructive victory. And it gives you a couple of examples of skills. Triple slash is the one you can start with, but it has a frenzy skill and a whirlwind slash. And it tells you in a kind of chart here what they kind of go towards. So obviously mostly physical damage and curses, surprisingly enough, with a little bit towards buffs and defense, but very little magic damage at all. And then obviously sorcery is totally different, dealing primarily with magic damage and curses. A bit more defense. I think it has some like CC like crowd control skills to allow you to get out of danger quickly. But yeah, it's primarily a magic offensive class, which makes sense, dealing with the different elemental attacks you can use. So obviously it has a flame bolt, a chain lightning ability, and a meteor strike. But I think it deals with all round different elements. I'm sure someone who deals with sorcery primarily would be able to tell you more. So then archery, it's a ranged physical attacker, again primarily physical damage, a bit more on curses, with a bit of magic damage mixed in there. I think one of its first skills is a poison ability. There you go. Piercing shot. Sorry, bleeding. Can inflict so much bleeding damage, which is rather nice. I like to put some damage over time abilities on people, as well as the potential bursts that you can do. Vitalism, primarily the healing class, as you would probably guess. The Vitalism skill set is symbolized by that name there, which I won't try to pronounce, who was tasked with guarding the gate to the dream realm rather than participate in reality. Now her disciples heal and revive fallen allies rather than participate in bloodbaths themselves, providing crucial life support in battle. Primarily defensive, it has a bit of magic damage, which is through this skill called Antithesis. It most likely has more later on, but it can both physically attack enemies, and if you cast it on yourself or an ally, it heals them. So it's kind of a 2-for-1 skill depending on who you cast it on. Occultism symbolizes the goddess of death and hereafter. Her gentle hands gather fallen heroes and bear them to eternal rest. Her followers then summon the powers of the fallen to inflict magic damage and terrify their foes. Similar to sorcery, it deals with magic attack primarily, as well as casting curses to deal probably different status effects and decrease their overall skills and stats, I believe, as well as use crowd control CC abilities on them. And then finally we have Shadow Play, the assassination skill set. Its devotees use stealth to maneuver close to enemies before inflicting fatal wounds, or dash forward to launch lethal attacks in the span of a heartbeat. So the roguish, the people who prefer rogue-like classes might prefer Shadow Play. I have obviously my Primeval class. My primary class has both ranged archery skills and potentially will have stealth to play with in the future, which I kind of like the potential of, the synergy of it. But I have another class which is eventually going to be the Blight class, which is the Battle Rage and Shadow Play, the Shadow Play skill set once again, so I can get in close and stealth and then unleash my potential burst attacks using massive two-handed swords if I so choose. So yeah, this is kind of coming to the end of my character creation here. I've talked for a good while. I also give you a kind of brief outlook on what this is going to look like, and I actually should save this character now and I will play this in the future. I will create a Battle Rage class just to show you some of the gameplay, and I'll call him Enderin again, why not? So yes, I will finalize this character, thank you very much. And there you go, level 1 Battle Rage Novice. And he will be a Battle Rage Novice up until level 10, similar to Alberio there. And when I've finally chosen my third skill set, he will get his specific skill for the 3 skill trees I have chosen. For example, AnthWolf is a primeval, as I've said. So, I will leave this here. I will probably do, as I said, another video of the first maybe 15-20 minutes of the game, showing you some of the gameplay elements and the options when you get actually into the game and what I prefer to play with. But as I say, if you have any questions, any suggestions about ArcheAge, feel free to leave comments below, and I hope you've enjoyed this, I would say brief video, but it's turned out to be a bit longer than I thought it was gonna be. So, this has been AnthWolf, and I hope you've all enjoyed, and I hope you all take care. And I will see you all, hopefully in ArcheAge in the near future, if you so decide to play. So, I'll see you all later. Bye bye now.